to Off the Shelf. I'm your host, Yvonne Wolf. Today, our special guest is Lieutenant Albert Valiaveedu, nuclear submarine officer at U.S. Navy and the author of A New Year. Welcome, Albert.
Hey, Yvonne, thank you for having me.
Well, tell us a little bit about your Glenview life and your journey as an author. You're talking to us from Connecticut, is that right?
Yeah, I'm here in New London, Connecticut right now. In Glenview, I was born in Skokie, Illinois. I moved to Glenview in 2001, and I did the same school uh, timeline as most people do. Went to Hinking Elementary, Hoffman Elementary, Atia Middle School, and went to Glenbrook South High School. When I was in college, I worked at Glenview Cycle. I volunteered at the library while I was in high school as a star volunteer. And I also interned at Illinois Toolworks for a little bit, which is also located in Glenview.
That's great. Wow. So you were in the Glenbrook South. Were you in some kind of sports team or anything like that?
Yeah, I played tennis actually in Glenbrook South, and I also did ultimate frisbee. It's a short-lived team that was there in Glenbrook South.
Yeah. And how about Science Olympiad? Your background looked like you would be involved with that.
Yeah, I did Science Olympiad for a couple of years as well as in middle school. That was fun.
And you started writing in high school, I mean, while you were in Glenview or later?
Yes, I started my first book in high school and developed that into multiple books in through college, and then finally released my last book, A New Year, in after I graduated college.
Which,
Here I can
yeah,
show that to you.
fourth?
Um,
Yeah. That's your
here
fourth book?
is Yeah, this is my fourth book, A New Year. It's in hardcover and in softcover.
Wow. Okay, we'll talk more about that. But just based on your LinkedIn profile, your background as an intern with NASA and a lab technician, work after University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana, you have plenty of materials for a sci-fi book. Is that what your genre? Are you interested in the futuristic world, or is it just for the last novel?
It was actually the last novel was the one that's mostly based on many years in the future, and I was trying to use elements that I knew was from science and technology that is progressing for some sort of prediction on how that future would end up. But my first novel took place 30 years ago. My second novel took place in the present, and then my third novel took place a few years in the future.
Yeah, well, I think I heard Mary Atwood once said that she didn't like the title or the genre called sci-fi because it seemed like it's unlikely to happen. So she likes to talk about her novels being just might be happening already. We just don't know. So
Hmm.
so that's a way to see our the whole genre in a different timeline. Were you ever a fan as a child? Did you watch Star Trek or Doctor Who or any kind of programs like that?
I mean, like just like everyone else, I was inside that Star Wars era. I loved playing that. I loved that stuff. But my book is set in the future, but there isn't a significant amount of typical science fiction. There isn't spaceships. There isn't aliens and like monsters and stuff like that. It's just set in the future. The technology isn't, I guess, there yet, so it doesn't dive into that direction. But it is technically science fiction. There is like airplanes, hovercraft, more advanced cities as well.
Ah, I see. Well, those are wonderful places to dream about. I mean, it's, I guess, compared to dystopias, which just seem to be
Yes.
another genre that you would think is related, but it has really split off to its own world now.
Mhm.
Well, and Albert, how about your characters? Are your characters rooted in someone you know, or your own um, maybe some autobiographical information in there?
Actually, with my characters, there's a mix of both. with this last book, I really wanted a strong female lead. And so many of the characters are female and driving female strength in my stories. There's also a side of people I do know and interact with and that make very interesting characters. And I also use their behaviors to and how I would imagine they would interact with each other to drive the story forward.
Yes, I see. I see. That sounds like a amalgam of people you know, and that could be a creates a very good story. So, how did you become interested in writing?
Well, writing isn't, I don't really consider it just writing. I consider it a way of expressing myself, my ideas, and putting that into a concrete method for other people to understand as well. I also dabble in music, which is another method of me expressing my identity, what I enjoy, what I like, and I want other people to enjoy that as well.
And perhaps observation about right the world where what it will become.
Yeah. Observations about how I see people's lives progressing in the future and how interactions between people will also progress in the future.
Yes, well, I found your book under the local author shelf. So if you hadn't put your book out there, I wouldn't be able to find you. And now knowing that you're stationed so far away, I don't even know how we would have gotten in contact with you. So we're
Yeah,
really,
actually, that's very lucky because my sister placed that book there a couple years ago. And yeah, it's just for me. I wouldn't have done that myself, so I'm lucky to have her.
well, it sounds like you've already had a very busy life. So I don't even know how you found the time to write. So can you tell us a little bit more about your decision and your commitment to writing?
Yeah, it's really just based on something I wanted to get done. You know, it wasn't as much of a task for me. It wasn't work for me. It was something that I use as an output. There are many times I've been really busy between work, school, social life, and just even wanting sleep. And I'd still focus on writing just to get that done and be able to put my thoughts out there for people to hear and understand.
Yeah. So when you write, do you feel you got something done, or more of it feels like you wrapped up the end of your day?
Well, it would always be open ended, right? I never wrap it. Whenever I finish a chapter, it wasn't, wow, okay, I can go to sleep now. It was, now I have a path moving forward for my characters. Now I can explore these ways they can to decisions and move forward with that.
So which came first, your writing a book or your aspiration to join the Navy?
Actually, I started writing long before, back in high school, and I used that to develop um, the be able to put out my creative side in order to also focus on my work side as well.
In the story development, how do you select your stories, or what is your storyline?
So a new year, which is my last book, actually diverges completely. It's the ideas in that are very different than anything else I've ever written, and I accumulate a lot of experiences I've had and experiences other people I know have had, and use those and weld those ideas and experiences into these characters that then go through um, what they do in my book.
I understand that a New Year's base is the setting is an island. Is there a reason why you picked that?
There is a lot of symbolism in the book, some more apparent than others. An island itself is isolated. It's very closed with a certain number of people, and they are very tightly knit, and everyone knows what's going on, and everyone knows each other very well, but they also struggle together. No matter where they are in the hierarchy of the island, they are still tied together. And that kind of was supposed to parallel my life on a submarine where we are stranded, we are isolated, and we are working together to survive. And sometimes we, certain people, need to be the hero in order to save everyone on the island.
Yes. And I was thinking the same thing. That sounds like life on a submarine. Very, very intertwined with each
Yeah,
other.
a lot less sunlight on a submarine, though.
So now, who supported your idea about writing a book? Because many times I find authors feel like writing is a personal or private endeavor, but then it doesn't get done just by itself. Other people have somehow helped them or asked them. So, Albert, how about you? Do you feel there's somebody out there who have helped you make that that dream become a reality?
Yeah, actually, I had a few people who have helped me. Number one being my friend Eric Krupinski, which was a neighbor of mine in Glenview, Illinois. We actually grew up together, and we went to the same schools all the way through high school, and even went to the same college together, and we were still friends through that. Another friend includes Ibrahim O'Day, one of my friends who grew up in Orland Park, and also my friend Derek Wood, who ended up becoming an editor.
Oh yes, tell us about that journey, the editor that your friend Derek.
Yeah, my friend Derek Wood was an editor of was the editor of my book, and he helped me get that book published as well. My
Derek,
last book.
back up a little. Is Derek from college? It
Yeah,
was
he was a college friend I had, and he studied English, and he used that my friendship as well to help me get my book out there and get readers to find it.
so did he edit all four of your books or
Yes,
just
he did. I actually did release all four of them together. They were just works that were just sitting there and they were developing over time. And I wanted to release them all together just so I can get the stories and timelines through all of them in sync.
are they related to each other? No.
There are ties. There are ties between each of the books, but they can be all read independently of each other.
I see. So how did Derek help you find a publisher? Or was he is he what did he I guess you say you met in college, but what did he eventually do? Is he working in that field?
Yeah, he is. He does work in that field as an editor right now, and he did help me find a publisher. That was actually a lot of off my hands, luckily. I hear a lot of authors struggle to find publishers and yet get their books put out there. But yeah, I did end up finding a publisher at the end. And the point of my book was mostly for people to experience what I experienced, to hear what I have to say, not as much as a career point for me. So it became much easier for me to just take my hands off of it and let it happen.
So Derek knew an editor. I mean, that is such a great thing he did for you because yes, most authors have a long story to share with us, a long and painful story about how a publisher was found. So how did did Derek just know publishers or can you tell us just a little more?
Yeah, it wasn't very much. It was just something he had lined up. It was I didn't want any the royalties that I was getting is minimal with the book, and it isn't a path many people would take. Just because my vision for the book is just as an element for people to enjoy. I wasn't expecting it. I guess I didn't also want it to be a New York Times bestseller or anything. It was just story for people to hear, people to understand, people to experience. I just hope people can find enjoyment off of that.
And so it's available on Amazon, right?
It's available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, most ebook places as well.
Oh, that's very interesting because it's usually we do interview many self-published authors.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us some lessons you have learned about putting the book together?
Yeah. I would say something as simple as never give up and keep going. but I actually would say expressing your identity is the most important part, most important lesson that I've learned is how important. There are many times I've been working on this book when I had to juggle school or work or friends or even like multiple jobs or family as well, and even sleep. And I would consider, why am I doing this? This isn't. I'm not getting. I'm not making money off of this. I'm not really enjoying it a lot of the time because I'm working. I'm like sometimes just nitpicking on how words should be placed.
Yes.
um, I ask myself, why am I doing it? And the answer is that everyone needs an outlet to express themselves, express their identity, express who they are as a person. And whether that's writing, music, making movies, painting, sculpting, pottery, there's your identity is something that's unique to you. And I believe everyone needs an outlet to express that identity to make sure other people understand that they are unique and you understand yourself, how unique you are.
Yes, most authors talk about the amount of time they spend rethinking a word or revising that sentence over and over again. And I guess that is the goal is to to produce something that really speaks from you.
Mhm.
It's because I'm trying to understand also because so many people who are in your age group, not to generalize, but they can spend it on video games and it doesn't produce anything. So I
Mhm.
guess that's why I'm curious how you continued and kept to your to your end product.
I guess exactly what you were saying. Playing video games, or even listening to music or reading doesn't produce anything. It can help build your identity. It can help build ideas, and I did use that. I did use a lot of video games, music, books, artwork, movies I've seen to help build some of the ideas that are present in my books. But at the end of the day, consuming consuming all this creativity doesn't produce creativity unless you produce that yourself, unless you take that step forward and push through.
Well, that's a very good point, Albert. Is so on that note, let's see about your cover. Let's see the cover of your book. Now, who completed the cover? Did you have somebody else do it, or was it you? And
Well, this cover, this is from a painting that comes up in the book and also comes up actually in the second book as well. Is the cover that was ended up go what we ended up going with, but before it was published, when it was an early work, one of my roommates and good friends, Kenneth Evans, who's a graphic designer, designed some artwork for not only this book but also for my other books. He did some artwork inside, and I kept that inside just so people can see um,
yes, I see.
how the original books were designed and that um, what the intent for how it would go.
Yes, I see. It's like a bird's eye view.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, aerial view. Oh, very nice, very nice. So you were able to use another product of someone's creativity in your book. So what connects you, Albert, to Glenview?
Well, my family's there. I grew up there, and everything I have done, everything that I grew up to be, comes from Glenview. Whether it is my job, whether it is the friends I know, whether it is what I've learned in classes. I grew up in Glenview, and I do consider Glenview as my home.
Albert, on a submarine, I just can't imagine a lot of space or time to write. Can you tell us how you do juggle that, or was it all completed before you went on your tours?
Yeah, there was no way I was going to juggle being on a submarine and writing at the same time. It was before I finished my last book before I went underway for the first time on a submarine.
I see. And do you think about your characters when you're, when you're on tour, you're busy? Do you think about what they're doing or whether you want to? Because I think there's a lot of writers are find it very compulsive to go back and change the book.
Actually, yeah, I do notice sometimes some small personality traits or behaviors that I have that have been reflected in characters or them reflecting on me almost that I didn't recognize when I wrote the book before. And I don't know if that's more subconscious or not, but it does happen sometimes. But I don't have that much of an emotional attachment to my characters that it hinders me from my day-to-day activities.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I finished my last book about a year and a half ago in
I,
Charleston, South Carolina.
oh,
And I moved a couple times since then.
yeah. And do you foresee more books, more stories to come?
I do not. Right now, I do not really I'm not focusing on my writing or my music, or anything else other than just my work right now while I'm in the Navy. Maybe years after that, I might dive back into it. But at the current moment, it's looking like I think I'm done for now.
And do you have any message for our writers out there, Albert?
This isn't just for writers. This also goes for musicians and artists as well, who just aspire to produce content for the public to um, enjoy. And that is that your identity and what you're producing means more to yourself than it does for other people. And so, going off of the never give up, it is very important to express yourself and express who you are as a person and make something that's unique, something that is from your own heart, from your own experiences, um, that hasn't been not necessarily hasn't been done before, but is your own twist, has your own meaning and your own identity to it. That's very important to for everyone to enjoy, but also to shape the world and move forward.
Hmm. So that self-expression will will become your identity, and that self-expression will possibly inspire others to shape their identities.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you very much, Albert, for spending time with us on our program.
Thank you, Yvonne, for having me. I really appreciate being here.
And thank you for watching. Join us next time on Off the Shelf.